Once I get to the end of the lake, it's done. And I don't pick it up again until I hit West Road. So it's just, it's a dead area. And that's a public safety issue. And we can talk about a call box back at the lake, but quite frankly, I've seen accidents occur on the road, Potter Valley Road, and no one's going to turn around and walk back or drive back to the next resident if you can find somebody home and borrow a phone. That's not a good argument either. It's a public safety issue, and a 2 mile, 3 mile, 5 mile gap, if you're hurt and there's an accident or you're trying to help somebody, that's a hell of a long time. That's a big gap. All that said, the reason why I recommended denial last time of the appeal was that this tower sits right outside people's view shed. And that was the issue. I was hoping that would be addressed and moved to higher ground, and I did it without prejudice, so it would come back and not penalize, so to speak, Edge Wireless, which I believe is a very good company, and they've done a good job with the applications that they brought forward in the past and with the facilities that they put up in the past. Can't say that all against some others, but they have done a very good job. And I would love to find a way to approve a tower in this location or this vicinity to serve this area because it's critical to the public safety, in my opinion. But also as critical is folks' ability to not have to look right out their window. And if you look at these pictures, same pictures, and look at the pictures we had last time, it's exactly what's happening. A road that goes around a tower that you have to, you're literally driving around if you go on that road and you're looking down out your window at, that's where I've got a problem. If we can find another site that's higher or not outside someone's back door, that's what I'd be supportive of. I can't get there with this one. I was hoping that a change of the project besides the lowering at 20 feet, which, and I do believe in the co-location, which we're kind of cutting that option off. And that's another part that concerns me. So there is a need. It's a big need. But I'm having a hard, and it's a good company. So a lot of the arguments I heard today, I gotta be honest with you, weren't very persuasive. But the persuasive one for me is looking out the back door at a cell tower. And that's not gonna work for me. So unless there's any other questions or comments, I would make a motion to deny the appeal.
Okay, there's been a motion submitted. Do I hear a second to the motion? Do I hear a second to the motion?
To the chair?
Yes.
Through the chair, I should say. Would that be to deny it without prejudice so they could still have another opportunity to re-scope it again?
I've thought about that, and I think I don't know if there's anything that's going to change between now and a year on this one.
Okay, I'm not hearing a second. Okay, I'll pass the gavel and I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I might suggest that you might want to continue the vote so we can prepare findings.
That was included in the motion. You didn't hear that part?
Yeah, that's included in the motion.
So it'd be a tentative vote to deny the appeal and then direct staff to bring it back at a date certain to make findings, if I'm understanding that correctly.
What is the...
I'm sorry. Well, we have a motion and a second to deny the appeal.
Assuming that the motion is successful, the Telecommunications Act requires that the denial be in writing and have findings. And I think that although staff has already, there's certainly evidence in the record I think that you could rely on. It's helpful to have formal findings because if we do get challenged in federal court, it does have, it's helpful to have the findings be something that was adopted by the decision-making body.
Yeah, but in light of the chairman having to pass the gavel to get a second, I don't think the votes are there to do that. Maybe
I'm just
maybe I'm
keeping that, just trying to be helpful.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, to the maker of the motion, there's a alternative motion listed, and that details exactly what council has provided us. Determined to uphold the action of the Planning Commission, staff recommends the following motion. Board of Supervisors continues action to the next available agenda date, directing staff and county council to prepare written findings in support of the action to deny use permit number U16-2007.
That was the motion.
That was the motion, okay, and that was my second.
Okay, if there's no other comments or anything, we'll, Dave?
Well, I found many of these appeals to be problematic. I find in this particular case, my inclination is to try to continue without, or to deny without prejudice so that we can re-examine it. This is one case where these guidelines are kicking in a very interesting way, dare I say. Sometimes they kick in and sometimes they don't kick in. But I'm uncomfortable with the perspective that there's a good company, there's a responsible company, this desirable thing, and so on, but we'll deny this appeal on the grounds that it imposes itself on a constituency's viewshed. And we have had many discussions on this particular matter in which the maker of this motion today here has come down exactly on the opposite side, particularly in situations impacting my district. So I find an inconsistency here, and perhaps it depends on whose ox is being gored, but I've been on the short end of the votes here, 3-2 votes on a regular basis, where the neighborhood and community input has garnered 2 votes out of 5, if that. So in this particular case, I used the word cynical this morning. I don't think I'd use the word cynical, but I do find it troublesome. I certainly support the concerns of the neighbors. On the other hand, my view of that is then we should be applying that rule across the board in a consistent and honest fashion. That has not been the case on this board. It seems we have an excuse each and every time for making a decision that tends to be to the disadvantage of the neighbors. Now, Johnny Pinches comes up here with 4 or 5 towers on his view shed. I wonder if he'll be talking about, well, you know, we have to take some of these things into consideration more so than now. But at this particular juncture, I'm just, perhaps I'm amused, or probably amusement's not quite the right word. I'm finding that this is interesting indeed, and I'm not sure at the moment how I would vote on this item.
Well, first of all, as acting chair, I think we have an obligation. This issue has been in front of the Planning Commission twice, and now it's the second time in front of this board. We owe not only the applicant, but we owe the appellant, both sides of this issue. We are the decision makers. As far as this putting it off to another meeting, I think that's unfair to both sides. These people, they look to us to make a decision. We got to come down. We got to vote yes or no, and that's exactly what we're going to do.
Mr. Chairman, just to clarify, the findings would be something that could be on the consent calendar. It would not require further action by the board other than simply to adopt them.